Do you think the youth have enough space? They're being given enough consideration when it comes to investment from companies?
I think the answer is yes and no. No, because the young people don't have the information. So if you don't have the information, it doesn't matter if it's or not, it doesn't exist for you. So the young people don't have the information. Yes, because they are investors, not necessarily Kenyan investors who are willing to invest in these young people. Now, I want to dwell more on the comparison of the facilities available for young people to go into manufacturing. Now, in the local government, the national government, they mean well and they're doing a good thing to encourage young people to go into manufacturing. But there's no support for that. The reason is that imagine I'm not sure the government is earning 100,000 a month, but five young people are told to be together in a group and then they will borrow 100,000 and with 100,000 they make a factory. Honestly, it's not viable because the same officer who is telling them to use 100,000 as five people, which is basically 20,000 per person, to make a business, unless you're going to encourage mboga business, which is okay, but then it's not enough to grow. These young people need a bigger investment. They need to have manufacturing so that they can compete with China, because the things we're using on daily basis in our homes, that is Chinese produce. I've lived in China, and in China, I've lived in India, and in India, I've lived in Singapore, and in Singapore, all these people, our young people are hardworking, and actually, I sincerely believe in my heart they're smarter. But then, those governments support their young people with a lot of funding, with a lot of mentorship. Our people don't have mentorship. For example, in Kisii, where I am based, in Yachika small town, there's no mentorship that can mentor these young people because the Kisiis who, people from my village, who have gone to school, who work in Nairobi in industry, they don't have time to come back and mentor these young people. The only young people who mentor these people are politicians. Politicians, some of them, or most of them, have not run a manufacturing entity, so they cannot come and teach manufacturing in the village. So these young people, when they see a politician, he drives nice cars, but what he does, they don't know. So using that basis alone, the leaders, these young people are successful, they have no history in manufacturing. That's why I decided to come here and teach manufacturing from scratch. Now, even if you teach manufacturing, there's nobody who is giving money for manufacturing entity. Manufacturing entity, honestly, for most products, if you are giving less than 10 million, you're under you're underfunding it. This not that industry cannot survive if you are giving less than 10 million. Very few items there are exceptions. But if you have to compete with China, for example, in the plastic industry, which China must not work with us. No village should be able to import things from China. The sugar industry. In Kisii, we have a lot of sugar. But in that industry, the machine which makes sugar is a rolling machine or a crusher to make cheese out of the sugar cane, then filter it, then cook it to be able to create sugar. Now, this knowledge is not available. The machinery is very cheap, but it's not the knowledge is not available. As a result, we have sugarcane farmers who have so much sugar, which actually turns into firewood afterwards. And that's most of the Western Kenya. The sugar is messed up. Not because our people cannot do it, but they don't know they can do it. And then, to me, it becomes a responsibility of the leaders to help the young people to show them what is done and make the funds available. I am not very political. I've never asked for an office, and I don't think I will. But look at it. Leaders ask, they campaign and say what they will do. Normally it would be, we shall make this road, we shall make that school, we shall make that hospital. Those are good facilities. But this is what they have done since I was a baby. I am retired now. Politicians, the fathers of politicians, did the same thing. As a result, we have never really changed. So I feel like this. If we can advise our young people, we can mentor them, if we can make them connect with the outside world, they are capable. And a good example is a young lady here in this Nyacheki, a very small community. They have brought an investor up to Nyacheki who has invested, is in the process of investing over 20, okay, there's 7 million on 7.5 million shares on solar. and then about 13 million on the actual production. So that's about 20 million. These investors come to the village, and the village is seeing the fruits. Just because people in the diaspora, where I'm one of them, I live in the diaspora, come back in the village to be able to share this with the young people in the village. Now I feel like there's more money outside Kenya for these Kenyan young youths. But now the problem is we don't have enough time to show them that it can be done. And then even if I want to do it, because I volunteer to do it, I do it on a volunteer basis. I am sharing with them, but I'm limited how many people I can talk to at the moment. So because of that, we're very much limited. But the truth is, there's enough investors outside Kenya willing to come and invest in young people. But they cannot invest unless these young people have something that can generate money that can absorb investment of over 10 million shillings, so that can be valuable for the investor to bring money and hope to get these returns. So the answer, yes, is there's money, but it's not necessarily in Kenya, but there's money in investors from outside the country. And we have access to them, but we have no access to educate our young people. That is the challenge I personally, as an old person, as frontier to young people, finds in the village. At least we have one young lady who, after 12 years of school, wanted to go to university, but in class, she went home after admission, she went back home to get money for the fees. And the dad said, I retired, I have no money. And then she came back to the university and said, what can I do? She was actually crying. And I said, that's not the only way in life. You can actually become a manufacturer. She said, I can? I said, yes, you can. And because of that, she decided to take the simple course of just becoming a manufacturer. And after 6 months of taking the training at the university, which I was heading, she was able to compete in Europe. That's the first time. 6 months of training spent in Europe. And then after 1 year, she was in the United States as a young leader, sponsored by the American government, all expense paid for. And then in the process, she attracted an investor from Seattle, Washington, who decided to invest in her. Why I've shared this with you is because just because this young girl got information, she now runs a functional factory, which is actually the goal of the national government. Now my question, which I want to put on to our people, actually our elders and our leaders, these young people don't want handouts for you to help them. Show them where they can get help, and then they can help others. Like this young woman has employed 6 young people that has told them, I'm not employing you for salary, I am employing you to get enough food to eat and to create your own factory. So out of this, in animal feeds, she's not actually even paying for the workers who work with her. They work, in return, they get access to produce their own factory. Like the 2 girls who work with her, they are making sanitizer, which has not taken off. But in this sanitizer, they had first to make ethanol. Now they produce ethanol, they have the technology to do it. Now the same investor from US, he said, I am going to invest in these young people. And we are creating the infrastructure to be able to accept that kind of funding. This will be a much bigger funding, which we hope it is going to be over 50 million shillings. But you can't get that unless they do. So the money that they get from the animal feeds, they have agreed they're using it to develop sanitizer, which was easier to do, but by making some of ethanol, they do all the fermentation from the beginning to the ethanol. They are using that ethanol as a basis of a prototype to attract the investor, and we are negotiating a tune of 50 million shillings to be able to set up a factory. So, which brings me back to the same thing that our young people, given information, they will outperform the other communities, especially from Asia. If I was to do it again, I'll do what I'm doing currently. I depended on political leaders. I went to almost every government office in the national government, and I could not see the people high up who make the decisions. And you know how our system works in Kenya. You have to involve the Minister for Industry. So at that time, it was not possible. Then I wasted 3 years with the county governments, trying to get them to see the vision, which they never saw till today. Actually, if anything is the opposite, they don't see it at all even today. So I wasted a lot of time there. Then I went to the university. I wasted 3 years trying to get the university work. Finally, I've come to a conclusion. The best person to work with for you to get results there is the local chief. But the local chief cannot work on his own. You have to get the DO to be involved. And the DO also has got some challenges. You have literally to work with the DCC, that's the Deputy County Commissioner. Now, that works well. But if you really want ultimate result, if anybody wants to help in any county, go to the county commissioner's office and say what you want to do. These people, they have got the infrastructure to make people work with you from all levels of the community. Because even if you go on your own village, you don't have the infrastructure to control people, to make people listen to you. But the chief can call the baraza. The county commissioner can come himself or can send the DCC. Like here in your checking, what happened? What I learned the hard way and worked well. I went to the DCC and said this is what I was doing. He was so excited. He said, I'm coming to help you out. He came to this place and he told the local people, this is what the government wants, which worked very well. When I went to the county commissioner's office, when these children had a problem, the county commissioner himself called and said, what's going on? He had actually to fight for the kids in the county government. So the moral story is that if you really want to help out, or if I had to start this again, which I'm doing at the moment, I am strictly working with the non-elected officials of the arm of the government. They don't care, they want things done. So where I failed, which I think I have to start again doing, is work with the teachers and retired teachers. Did you know that teachers in any society, they are the only people who celebrate when children do well? Watoto wakipita shule, if they do well in school, they have parties, they dance, they celebrate, they say, wow, this is very nice. They teach that, hey, you become a doctor, this guy's not a doctor. He says, you go to school, work hard, you will own a car. He doesn't own a car. He says, work, go overseas, become a professor. He's not a professor, he's not going to overseas. So, and when the children go well, the teachers say, congratulations, they enjoy it. These are the people that are dying non-well. I should have started there. When I went to the university, the person who gave me permission, maybe I should give this credit. When I was really stuck after 3 years, when the Kisii University allowed me to work with them, they gave me $500,000 shillings and said, we like what you're doing, here's the money. Now, they gave me a working space, a research facility. They said, please show us what you're talking about. And actually, that is how this system was born. So in other words, if I have to do one simple thing, I will start only with teachers. The teachers understand the pain in the community. They taught these young people. They understand them. If I was to make any new program, I will look for retired teachers, pay them a little bit, and make them train for me. If you give the teachers any circular, any new curriculum, they'll do it for you very well. Our country, Kenya, which I love very much, we have a challenge of unemployment for the youth. Because I live in Kisii at the moment, I just want to concentrate on that area so that we can be able to see this, because that is, whatever is happening in Kisii is much a reflection of what's happening in our country, living in basically Africa. We have a very high concentration of young people who are educated, college level, high school level, without anything to do. Our leaders, normally they talk of getting investors to come and help to create employment. Now, if leaders can see the vision, let the young people be shown where these investors are, and then be shown what to do to attract investors for export. For example, if I assume you give me that power today, the first thing I'll do, I will take all the export processing zones from where they are, take them to every village, should become an export processing zone, and then get our people in the diaspora. These people should be the links, and then because sometimes they don't know, they've never thought about it, get somebody who knows how to work with them, go and inspire them or motivate them to become links for the people in the villages. And of course, for every village, anybody who comes from the diaspora, he comes from a village, he should be able to give back in the village, not the city. The cities have got enough Chinese, they've got enough Indians, they've got enough Americans, enough Europeans. They don't need, Nairobi does not need diaspora, but the village where I was born and raised, they need diaspora. So diaspora with the government, with the local people, must come on one team to map a way forward for industrialization of our villages. Because even if you industrialize Nairobi, if the village is not industrialized, really what are we doing? We are making our people immigrants in the city, whereby they are actually they are disadvantaged from the early immigrants. For example, let me finish by saying this. The Indian community, which is our 40th, 4th something tribe, the new tribe, the Indian community, they are very nice people. They are immigrants in Nairobi. The Kisis are immigrants in Nairobi because actually they have to get everything from outside. But the Kisis have got a family back home to make fun to send money to, so they can develop themselves better because they are torn between the two places. These Indians, the only place they have is home. They concentrate. They seem to have better cars, better homes. And the Kisii has got a home in Nairobi, and the Kisii and his cousins and brothers and sisters, they have nothing. So we must find a way of putting our people in the diaspora, come back with the information and build our people upwards. That's my prayer for our people.